Living hundreds of feet above the forest floor, the gibbons of Southeast Asia spend nearly their entire life in trees. Flying effortlessly from limb to limb, their incredible athleticism has made them virtually impervious to predators. Still, the gibbons are now endangered. With their homes incessantly logged by man, these apes have few trees to swing to. Halfway across the world, though, there is a new gibbon habitat taking shape. It's a zoo exhibit without any bars or barriers, designed specifically to allow the gibbon to again swing free, just like in Southeast Asia. How did they provide such an environment while still ensuring these acrobatic apes stay in the zoo? You'll find out at the Nashville Zoo and their newest exhibit, a place called Gibbon Islands. Gibbon Islands is the 10,000 square foot man-made island home to 5 gibbons. Here, across an authentic jungle canopy, these unique tree dwellers flourish in a world void of any visible barriers or buildings. And it's all located in one of the newest zoos in the country, Nashville.
I think the Nashville Zoo, we're sort of the new kids on the block, one of the newest zoos in the country, and we're getting a reputation for building naturalistic exhibits, and this is a perfect example.
Zoo president Rick Schwartz developed a love for gibbons quite by accident. His first close encounter with the apes came while conducting research in Laos for another exhibit.
The natural wild for these gibbons is the rainforest throughout Southeast Asia. And I've been fortunate enough to see them in the wild, which is a lot of inspiration for this exhibit. And I'll certainly remember forever. I wanted to bring that home to Middle Tennessee and let people here experience that.
Back home at the Nashville Zoo, Rick was determined to create the most naturalistic gibbon exhibit in the Western Hemisphere. No cages, no fences, no bars, and no wires. The board of directors said, no problem, as long as you build it in 2 years flat. But to hit that grand opening schedule, he'd have to hurry. His first challenge was to somehow set boundaries. Without any fences or bars between their island and greater Nashville, what would prevent the gibbons from swinging out to catch a concert at the Grand Ole Opry? The solution was water. He would create an island.
Even though gibbons are agile and acrobatic, they don't like water. In the wild, they would rarely even come down to drink water out of streams, but they would rely on the condensation or water on their hair or fur. So they really don't even like water. They don't like to touch it. They don't like to be around it, and they certainly would challenge that as a boundary.
On Rick's side was zookeeper and fellow gibbon lover, Shannon Duprell. Shannon had been a keeper for 5 years. But when she heard of Rick's plans for a world-class gibbon habitat, she quickly signed up. Banking on the gibbons' natural aversion to water to keep them secure, Rick teamed up with a firm of zoo architects and a civil engineering company to design a custom-built moat that would create the natural barrier. Once the plans were drawn up, the groundwork for Gibbon Islands was laid, and the heavy lifting began.
In this site, we raised the elevation by 22 feet to get a level for our water surface. So we brought in about 1,000 loads of dirt.
After the soil was compacted, the moat was sculpted, complete with a shelf to support aquatic vegetation. Next, Rick turned his attention inward to the biggest challenge of all, tailoring the island to the specific needs of high-flying gibbons.
They have special pockets, ball pockets, and both their wrists and their shoulders that allows them to look as if they're flying. I personally think that these guys are the most agile of any of the apes, simply because of their size and their physical makeup. But they are quite strong. Their muscles are huge. When you see them hanging and you see that the biceps just bulge out, it becomes readily evident that even though they are lean in structure, they are still very strong. They can literally fly through the trees.
Rick Schwartz was faced with a deadline and a dilemma. He needed to somehow recreate the old growth of a Southeast Asian rainforest. The answer was a major operation to transplant close to 20 mature 30-foot trees, specifically chosen to support the gibbons and their natural behaviors.
And this one tree right here, particularly the sycamore tree, is about 64 feet tall. We needed a 200 capacity ton crane to pick this tree up. We bound it, we made a saddle for it, brought them over on a flatbed trailer, and then inserted all of these trees in here.
Only these trees and plants weren't just for swinging. Here, to allow the gibbons free reign of their environment, everything also had to be edible.
I think these islands are really beautiful. Nothing is toxic, so they could literally browse off the whole island.
Now, with the instant forest in place, Rick's Island in central Tennessee truly began to look like central Thailand. There was only one problem. Nashville's climate. The gibbons would need heated dens to shelter them from Tennessee's chilly nights, as well as a place for keepers to distribute food and any veterinary needs. For Rick, there was only one solution. He'd have to go underground.
The exhibit was designed where we hide all of the infrastructure, but that obviously represents some challenges. The keepers go on the back of the island, and they go put on knee-high boots and walk on an underwater bridge. And then the retaining wall in the back has a door, so they literally walk in the door and walk into the keeper access capabilities in the back. Inside is a very unique design where you walk into the back of the building. The animals are safe to contain. There's space for the keepers to work. Everything is hidden within the island exhibit and makes it very serviceable for the keepers.
Next, Rick needed to provide access between the underground service buildings and the island above it without distracting from the island's natural appeal. So he installed a secret trap door for the keepers and a separate entrance tunnel for the gibbons. All of it invisible to the viewing public.
We wanted to hide when the animals come in, the access area. So there is a chute on the far side of the island which is all hidden by vegetation, and the animals are obviously trained for the keeper staff to come in and out, so that you'll never see any of that.
Gibbon Island was taking shape, but all this creative engineering was taking its toll on the timeline. With the clock ticking, many questions still remain. How would the gibbons react when they first encountered their new home? And would the moat really keep them from some unscheduled outings? That's coming up on Ultimate Zoo.